I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry, everyone. So here we are in Collectively Rewilding, and I see that Tammy is here with us. We have tons to talk about, but let's start off with the square foot gardening that I think will fit her so well. Oh, and let me enable the waiting room.
Sabrina, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure that my mic is working.
Absolutely, my lady. I can hear you loud.
Oh, Benny is here.
She sure
Awesome.
is.
So
And Miss
means
Ethel,
Ethel,
we
my
should have
girl.
a few other people maybe show up, 2 or 3. So uh, always getting that community going a little bit further. Right now, I'm so busy with what we're doing here and Collectively Rewilding as the garden that trying to build our community is challenging, but we're growing out there as well, and that's also exciting. So, all right, here we are. And when we're talking about square foot gardening, there's always the search option, and this is a good one to search, as there should be several posts that, oh my goodness, that talk about it. There's a few of the classes and talking about the batches that we're making. So there's a lot of information that you can check out here, Miss Tammy. What square foot gardening is, it's a method that was created by a man named Mel Bartholomew, and he passed away a few years ago, but this is something that he's really wanting to see spread all over the world, and so he started a nonprofit, and they are continuing his work. The Square Gardening Foundation, I believe. Don't quote me on that, though. They're out there, though, and they've printed the newest edition. It's excellent. I do believe that we've improved a little bit on the soil mixture because we have a sustainable variation. But one of the things that we'll be talking about tonight is the trial that we're starting here in our garden in Collectively Rewilding. And this is going to talk about the various mixtures that we're talking about right now. Mel's mix versus CR's mix. And Mel's mix, of course, is the inspiration for CR's mix. And I would absolutely love to see this trial have success and then share that information with the Square Foot Gardening Foundation. So always projects in the works, a month out, a year out, 5 years out, just like you always hear. There's definitely plans here in Collectively Rewilding along those lines. All right, so Miss Tammy, the reason that square foot gardening would work so well for you is that you can put it on a very well supported table right there at the level that you need in order to be able to access it freely, to actually work the soil. And traditionally, the square foot gardening method had a 4x4 shaping. I think for your case, a 2x2 would be ideal. A 2-foot by 2-foot table that held a 2-foot by 2-foot garden that would actually provide you with 4 different plants that you could put in it. You could also consider doing a 2x or something along those lines where it is more accessible to you, where you can
Is this like inside, like my house, or like
you could
outside?
definitely do it inside where you have your onion plant and your mint
Oh,
and your
my scallion, my
all of that.
7-year-old scallion, he's outside.
Oh, he's gone outside now.
He's still
Well, that area
outside
where you would show
thriving.
me the pictures, you know, that it was concrete, you could
Okay.
definitely do something like that if it has
Well,
enough.
like it just depends on the weather, you know what I'm saying? So like right now it's freaking really windy out here in California, but I really want to grow outside, but like
Mhm.
sometimes I love growing inside, like on my window
It
and
works for both.
yeah.
That's the best part about this method is you can really put it in any place where you have a lot of area, a little area, inside, outside, whatever works the best for each individual gardener. Absolutely. And so you take these 3 components, vermiculite, peat moss, and a blended compost. He believed that compost would come from one industry, like the soybean industry or the paper industry or the cotton industry. And in that case, it's only going to have the broken down components of those plants. And so if you get 5 different types Has to be different brands of soil from your local gardening store, Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, wherever you get your different gardening materials, and you get 5 different brands and mix those up. He believes you're going to end up with a much better nutrient set for your plants, because the part of this mix that gives the plants the nutrients is the blended compost. You mix it together in equal parts, vermiculite, peat moss, and your blended compost, and it makes it very workable. Even in a soil that is well maintained in a garden, maybe they do double digging, maybe they have mulching, and you have that good, even in a forest, that good porous quality. Um,
Hey
if you
Sabrina, real
compare,
quick question. So are you talking about just like the soil stuff, or can you talk about like bricks? Like the brick moss.
that's
Instead of
actually what we're talking about here. And I'm
okay,
going to talk about that a little bit more deeply when we go over the first mixing that we did of Mel's mix here. I have that post for us where I can show each different part of the process. I think I put it up as a post. If not, we can tear through my pictures. I definitely have pictures of the process. We're doing so much and I'm trying to get more content out there. I can't always keep up with myself. I apologize. But yes, we will definitely
that
look
the
at what
bricks
that
are
looks.
more easier when you're dealing inside, versus all the dirt and stuff like that. So
Well,
the
okay,
Bronx
so for your
bricks for
case,
me.
the way that you would do square foot gardening would actually be on a table, even outside. With your wind and things like that, you might even consider doing something more like a raised bed garden, but you wouldn't have to fill the bottom 2 feet with soil. You could fill the bottom 2 feet with something like cinder
What?
blocks and then
Yeah,
put a plywood piece over it. It's more
yeah.
about getting it up to your height where you can easily access the garden. Does that make sense? And that would help with the wind if you did the cinder blocks with a plywood on top instead of a table.
Yeah, even if I couldn't, my husband will be
Mhm.
able to,
Well, this is
reach
something
that.
so that as much as you're able to on any given day,
Yeah, for
you could
sure.
go out there and you could work in the soil with him. He would definitely need to be the one that set it up for you. Yes,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah, for
And
sure.
that is something that's relatively easily done. If you wanted to do the cinder block foundation, um, I will find some videos for you of people putting together something that is not too complicated. I don't think that you would need to put it into concrete. You could just put it in like a bed of sand, something like that. Maybe not even in a bed of sand. You might just want to put some, not 2x4s, but they're called 2x8s, and it's actually a panel of wood. And you could build that as the base of your structure and the structure where you're holding the soil. So let me see, how can I show you what I'm trying to describe very well? Let's get into paint really quickly here. So you would have your cinder block foundation, okay? And we're just doing this quickly, so it's going
You're a
to be,
very good artist, Sabrina,
oh
you
my
swear.
gosh, I'm
And
horrible. Please don't
look
even
at
say
that.
that.
Like, I
Okay,
want
so
autograph.
then, no way. Then it's horrible. And there'd be about, say, 4 of them at most. Okay? And you're just throwing them together in a frame. And this frame here would be out of panels instead of 2x4s. They're like almost like a clapboard house back in the day, and you'd have a panel of wood. And then that would go on the side. If you put a stack of 2, so you'd have another one up on the top of it here, right? And you'd have 2 panels of wood that would be further connected to panels that would run the shorter distance, right? So you'd have 2 side panels
Can
that
these
would,
be like railroad ties? Or do they have to be like
if
actually like
railroad ties can definitely be used.
yeah, cause
Yeah.
like bricks and stuff like the sand out here that would be the only really like concrete like thing that would
Any kind
literally.
of structure that's gonna support a decent amount of soil is gonna be great. Both of those, concrete, railroad ties, and then you just want to put, um, concrete is gonna suck it dry. So would cinder blocks. What was your other suggestion? Railroad ties, they wouldn't be as bad. You would only want to put plywood on the top of it then just to keep your soil where you want it, right?
Yeah,
And
because
so
if
yes,
we do have a couple
absolutely.
of railroad ties, that'd be, like, perfect for we could get railroad ties, It's just the concrete and it's just, like, the sand and stuff, so,
Any way that will
yeah.
be, I would be looking at the most cost efficient, right? That would be my main concern. So whatever is the easiest and most cost efficient for you guys, but any of those types of things. And then you just make your basic 4 by 2 or 2 by 2, something that's only 2 feet deep though, where you can reach in for 1 foot on one side and go around to the other side and reach in and 1 foot, and you can access everything there, right? You don't want to have to stretch your arms out. You want it right there where you can touch it, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, and so once you've got your platform, you want to put drainage holes in a few of the spots in the plywood that's supporting your soil so that it can drain out. And then you're going to fill it with either the smells mix, or you can try the new option that we're putting out with CR's mix.
Like,
And so there's some,
I have, like, a sprinkler system, as well.
mhm, that
So,
always helps.
it's there, but, yeah, I've had experience with that where, like, it didn't do well too much on my property to
The
where.
sprinkler system didn't work very well for
Yeah, like, I have
you. Okay, so hold
soakers and
on,
stuff like
because
that.
another thing that we're gonna try to talk about, there's so much going on. Another thing that we're working on right now, Tammy, here in Collectively Rewilding, is talking to the NRCS, the Natural Resources Conservation Service. You've heard me talk about it before, right? That's the A. Um, they handle irrigation systems. A sprinkler system can be considered, and it is technically, yes, an irrigation system. So I'm working to absolutely verify that that does apply to the type of sprinkler system that I want to put in here. If it does, it may also apply for you in California. Utah is right up next to, I think Nevada completely separates us, but we're like right there together. And so this is something that may, if you're having problems with your sprinkler system, this may be something that would work for
Problems.
you as well.
It's
What do you mean
problems.
it didn't work then?
Well, no, like, it did work, and then, like, the soaked a lot of things, and then, like, when you live up here, the sand gets in obviously the hoses and all that stuff, and, it soaked a little too much. So,
The soaker hose soaked too much because of
uh,
the sandy quality of your soil.
yeah, and
It like
then
waterlogged your soil.
yep, it literally soaked down the Everglades down on my hill. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so when I have like sprinklers, I need to um talk to someone that knows about sprinklers to where like I'm not gonna fall down the hill again. You
Oh,
know?
yeah, no.
Yeah.
Definitely, I think I may have mentioned this to you earlier when we were talking, but uh, your county extension office, which is another thing that we're going to try to talk
Yeah,
about.
I got that.
Okay?
It was just like when I moved here, I have soakers along my gate, okay? And you're up here, you're gardening, but like when you leave them on too long, okay, they're on a
So
timer,
that's
but
where you want to get
still,
like timers, right? And find
yeah.
out from the county extension what are good timing for
Yeah,
your
but
type of
still when you're on a
irrigation that you already
timer,
have there
like
and all
you
that.
could be like not there and it just not go
Exactly.
off,
Yep.
and things happen and
And so they
the
might
whole
have something for you. I'm gonna
yeah.
dig into that. It'll be different here for us in Utah than it is for you in California. Um, you'll want to reach out to the San Bernardino County Extension. I should still have
Yeah, I
that.
need to like check out like I said, a land survey to like get a retaining wall because that
Mhm.
is like a huge thing. Huge thing. Like, even when it
So
comes
I
to like
don't know that the NRCS is going to be available in that regard. I would definitely talk to
yeah, I
them,
was
talk
looking
to your
at that
county
today.
extension.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
looking at that today. I was like, okay, they don't have one here. Um, it's San Bernardino County, but they have one like in like San Diego or some shit. Excuse my
Which
language. Sorry.
wait, oh, yeah, please.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so,
like San Diego. Like, so I was
there should
looking.
be something closer, but your area is a
Yeah,
little bit rough, right, to find
yeah.
resources.
I was trying to
So
look
let's
for the
tear through
closest.
some of that, though, um, at a later date because we have tons of material to get through tonight, but I've been so excited to share this information with you. I did wanna just get the basic idea in your head, okay? So once you've built your table and then you choose which one of the two mixes that you want, that's very important. You don't want to use your garden soil. You're already, experiencing different kinds of problems with the garden soil that you have as far as the water retention. It kind of just runs through and makes a mess. Sand doesn't have the same kind of ways of absorbing before it becomes waterlogged, right? And so this is a type of soil mixture that's going to really increase the ease of working with it, as well as the amount of success that you have with it. And so we started off with the Mel's mix. It didn't require quite as much breaking up as what I have for the replacements in CR's mix, which are the grow stones or rice hulls. And there are some additional alternatives because I was unable to get grow stones. They're not available right now. I don't know if they're even still manufacturing them. I could find the company, but I could not find any available online, not even on their own website. So I found that clay pellets, I believe they're called. They're just little round clay pellets. They will very similarly work with the soil mixture. They absorb water. They break down slowly, like the growth stones, which are recycled glass that break down as silica. The clay pellets break down into different nutrient sets, but they are available for the plants as well. So that's excellent. There are also coconut coir. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. Ethel is here with us tonight, and she has been recommending that one. She really wants me to look into it, and I do want to look into that as well. I want to see if it's a waste product from the coconut industry, such as what we've been talking about. That's all about what we're here about collectively rewilding style. So finding a sustainable mix that incorporates things that would end up into a landfill to replace the unsustainable or non-sustainable qualities that are in Mel's mix. We still want to get that same kind of quality, but we don't want to use non-renewable resources. Also, we have to be aware when we're comparing these two, because DR's mix is using the types of components that it's using, they will break down over time. The CR's mix, if you put it into one of the boxes that we were just talking about there, Tammy, those components will eventually break down into just pure, beautiful soils. They won't have the same water retaining qualities that the vermiculite and peat moss, which are the elements that are non-sustainable in the Mel's mix, they don't really break down the same way. So if you keep them from interacting with your own soil on a separated platform or not, you can put the plywood directly on the ground, then you aren't going to lose that soil retaining or that water retaining quality that you get with the vermiculite
Hey
and the
Sabrina,
peat moss. Yes, sweetie.
I don't really work from like pots. I work from pots. Like I don't work from like
This will work
beds.
absolutely in pots. If you would rather deal with
Okay,
pots,
yeah.
it will.
Yeah.
What it does is, how your soil gets hard in your pots eventually within a year or so.
Yeah,
This
somewhat.
will not get hard. I
Yeah.
actually recommend for pots using Mel's mix, not CR's mix, because it's not going to break down the way that CR's mix will. And so your pots, if you put in
I do both.
nutrients,
I do both, Sabrina. It's just the like my herbs, you know what I'm saying? Things that like I can just like grow in my house easy or and then, my husband has to go outside and do the bigger plants or like transplanting
it'll
them.
work from the
Yeah.
tiniest windowsill container, your seedling trays, all of this. okay? For your seedling trays and things like that, I would be using CR's mix. For your windowsill garden that you're going to keep as your windowsill garden, I would use Mel's mix, because then you don't have to constantly replant your plants. Does that
So,
make sense?
with that type of thing, is there like, up here in the heights, we get a lot of like flies. Okay, so like, is there like a, does that type of soil attract that type of stuff?
Not
Like
any more than any kind of
gnats.
healthy soil would. No. If you're
Okay,
buying your compost especially and not composting it, but even when you're composting it properly, it won't draw a
yeah, we
tremendous
get
amount
like
of pest
gnat flies.
problem.
So when I
Yeah.
start planting, in my house, I'll start getting these like gnat flies. And that's, typical, because you're
It does
growing.
happen. It happens here in Utah as well,
Yeah.
right? So I can do some research for you on that.
Yeah, I
Okay?
just want to like,
Sabrina,
get.
Yes, Miss
Oh
Ethel.
shoot, Ethel is in the
hello,
house.
people. Tammy, how are you all doing? Good evening, everyone.
Ethel, we
Um,
miss
how
you.
about the plants that repel flies and things of that sort?
Like
Yes,
mosquitoes?
that is one of the things, but you get it in when you have the soil, they start working in the decomposition process and they're
Yeah,
drawn to
I
it whether
understand
it's
that.
that kind of plant or not. So
Right,
that's definitely something to try at the front of your house to keep them from coming in at all. Uh,
right.
yeah.
Something
Hmm.
like even rosemary, or I'm just saying a
Yeah,
lavender or
like is
something.
there
Could be,
like a
yeah,
certain scent? Like,
yeah,
There are
yeah,
several. Hmm.
yeah, like Ethel lives in
Um,
Louisiana. I live in California, she's swampier. I'm more
citronella.
like
Okay. I
yes,
couldn't
yes.
remember
I'm
the
more
name.
heaty.
Citronella is a
Telling you,
really good
I am not
plant
in the
for
swamp
that.
area. Please stop putting me down there
She's on
by
the
New
swamp. I'm
Orleans.
in the like the desert,
So
like
citronella though, citronella is when they sell at almost every Walmart. I don't know that I've seen it in Home Depot or Lowe's.
Yes,
I
they
would
have it
think it
there.
would
They
be
have like
there,
the candle type of the sticks that you can do
but they have it
when
as a
you light
plant
them
as
and
well, right?
yeah,
That's a when you get citronella candles, it
mhm,
starts as a plant unless
yeah,
they synthesize it, which is yucky,
right,
right? So
yeah.
yeah. Okay, great guys. So,
we
but do you
can grow
understand
that
a
in
little bit about
California,
what
Sabrina.
what's that?
We can I can grow that in California.
Hmm. They should sell it for you. It's probably at your local.
In your little pots, Pammy.
You
You
don't really
said
have
you
like a
want pot.
local
What is
Walmart,
it
but if
called
you go
again?
to
What is it called
something like
again?
Walmart, citronella.
Citronella. All right, I'm gonna like write that down,
Yeah.
cause like whatever helps,
So,
whatever in
Is
this
it
does
house.
this idea of square foot gardening make some sense to you with what we're talking about?
Everything makes sense, Sabrina. It just like I literally gotta see it to make sense.
Well,
But
let's
all
go
these
and
like,
look at what it looks like to mix the
yeah,
CR mix. Okay, that was something that we just did over this weekend, and I
it's like
believe
trial and error. You know what I'm saying?
this
When you're
isn't
dealing with,
trial and error. This
yeah.
this the CR's mix, that is trial and error. The Mel's mix has been tested for close to 50 years, I think. It's been out there maybe even more than 50 years. This is something by their fifth edition, fourth edition. Check here. So this is their first edition, and you can see from the photo, this was in, I believe, the late 70s. And this is their newest edition here, okay? The fourth edition. Okay, so this is how much difference you can see in the ways that they've put it out there. This is more like something that might be useful for you rather than on the ground as he started amending the soil underneath his additional mix. But this is
I
so
think I
much
just need to
further.
move to Utah or something.
It's a desert here too, but then I would definitely be able to help and you could come over and participate over here and all that good stuff.
Okay, so
Okay,
your mom,
so
I think Anita, right, is your mom. She's saying you can set a bowl of vinegar near your plant. That should help. Is she referring to the bugs that I was talking
mhm,
about? Oh, way
yes.
cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm. All right, and so here is what it looked like for us to mix Mel's mix, not CR's mix. CR's mix was much more intensive, and that's why I'm going to start looking into some of the alternatives around sphagnum moss. I still would like to use sphagnum moss. The growth of it here, though, is very slow. That's not a realistic method. And I want to find something that isn't going to take hours and hours to break down by hand. So I'm going to have to check that out. All right, so this is what it looks like to make CRs, or to make Mel's mix. Excuse me. Let's see if we can make this. Okay, so this is the vermiculite. This is a type of soil, a mineral that they heat and it pops. And that is very soil retentive. And it doesn't break down the way that most typical soil components would. I'm sure over time, eventually, it would break down into smaller and smaller pieces of itself. But as a structure of your garden, it's very much more, how shall we put this? More permanent, as long as you don't let it mix into your soil itself, because then the soil will just keep working down slowly over time. Okay, so that is non-sustainable. This is also non-sustainable. Here, the peat moss, and it goes quickly. We didn't take many pictures. Oh,
Damn,
look,
Sabrina, you getting down and dirty. Like, look at you.
so these are the composted elements. So let's pause. This is what you were asking about. What different types of soils we made into our blend. So we used 2 different types of compost. They had a really nice looking one by Kellogg Organics, garden soil. You can see it in the background here. And I've shared a multitude of their online materials with you, Kellogg Organic Garden Soil. And I wanted to see what I thought of it here. I was very happy with the texture of everything that we put in. I used the previous brand that I've been using for quite some time because I like it a lot, that I did add into this as well. I just wanted to check out more. So you only need 5, we did 6. And so that you can see the Kellogg back here. This right here is steer manure blend. All right.
Hey,
Steer
Sabrina.
manure.
Sabrina. So, I have that stuff too, the Kellogg stuff. Do you use that for your vegetables, or like do you use that for your trees? Or do you
I'm
use
going
it
to
for
use
your
that for
herbs?
everything.
Okay.
When it comes to what I'm adding in as Mel's mix or CR's mix. The blended
Okay.
compost is the same for both mixes. That's the one component that doesn't change because it's renewable as is. That's the only renewable aspect of Mel's mix. And I think his reasoning is sound. I couldn't find any confirmation of his theory, but it makes sense to me. There's no reason to knock it. So I'm going to follow his recommendation of his way of this blended compost. And then I'll also have a control area where I don't amend the soil at all. So that is the closest that I, as a non-scientist, can get to trying to create something here that I can share with others in the hope that if I find the success that I think I'm going to, they can then take further, right? So this is the steer manure. You also see that there's chicken manure. There is an organic garden soil, and that was actually the Kellogg's. So there were several different brands that were new to me. I went to
Hey,
Home Depot this
Sabrina.
time instead of
Sabrina,
Lowe's.
real quick. Like if you're like growing for like herbs and stuff, like what do you recommend? Like
This
pure
will work for
straight
almost
manure,
anything,
like
but let's get
chicken.
through the material that we're working
Uh,
on, okay? So that we have so much to cover tonight, I promise. So much. If you want to do an open-ended question session, I've already felt like we have so much to cover. I can throw another class on here for that because you're having a lot of really great questions and I want to address them. I just want to make sure that we share what's going on here because there is so much going on. Oh my goodness, you guys. I
No
can't
worries,
even
girl.
remember it all.
I just have a lot of questions, and
I know,
you
I
know,
love it,
I see
and I
the
want to
same
address
stuff that
them.
I'm
So
using, so I'm like, oh, cool. She's talking about the same things that I use.
that's great. That's really great. Also, if you guys are able to compost on your own property to create your own so that you don't have to take the resources from another area, that's something that we're working here on Collectively Rewilding. We started one within the first week or 2 of getting this house because we were just so excited to be able to not throw things in the landfills that we could use to improve our soil here. So we already have a pretty decent compost heap going, and it's something that can be done really easily. And that's something that we could talk about in a Q&A as well. We've talked about it a little bit, but we could go into it more in depth when we do a Q&A, okay? So the only other thing is that we did two topsoils. So apparently the brand I liked prior was a topsoil, and then I did not think it was a topsoil, so we purchased one of the topsoils at Home Depot. So this is a blend of 6 different items, 2 that are animal in nature. They're herbivores, so it doesn't have the night soil quality that omnivores and carnivores have, right? It's safe to use almost immediately. You have to be a little bit careful with like manure from horses and cows. If you put too much too close to your plants, it can actually burn them as it's decomposing. It's releasing so much heat. So you do need to know how to utilize it, but when it's a mix of all these different components, as well as either the vermiculite and peat moss, as in this particular case, or when we go and make the batch of CR's mix that we'll be making next, it will contain sphagnum moss and clay pebbles or pellets instead of the grow stones I had hoped. Still renewable resources that will go in with the compost that we see here. That is going to be in equal parts for Mel's mix. I'm going to play with the CR's mix a little bit. I wasn't as happy with the amount of nutritive material. The textures change, and I think that we'll be probably doing 2 parts compost to 1 part sphagnum moss, 1 part rice hulls, or 1 part clay pebbles for the CR's mix. So that's why it is a trial and error, whereas the Mel's mix has been tried all around the world with amazing success levels. If you follow the steps that Mel Bartholomew set up to what he says, once you get it set up, it takes you about 10, 20 minutes a day, and you have this beautiful, easy to work garden year after year, and this has been proven successful around the world. So it isn't a trial and error the way that the CR's mix is a trial and error, all right? So really fun. Is there any questions around what we're talking about here with the differences between the 2 soil mixtures, or mixing it up, any of that? Actually, let me play this. I forgot we haven't seen the end, so that you can kind of see what it looks like to have to mix all of these things together. Just a few more seconds. It's not a very long video. So there you see the final mixture. This is your blended soil mix, the vermiculite, and the peat moss. And you can see the peat moss is quite comparable in texture and color to the garden soil, whereas you can see the sphagnum moss behind here that we're using for CR's mix. It's very fluffy. It is not really decomposed at all. It's still in its true form. It's simply dried and starting to break down, but barely beginning that process, and more because we broke it up than because it was really breaking down yet. As you see here, this peat moss, which is sphagnum moss peat moss, meaning that it's just layers and layers of centuries worth of sphagnum moss that has grown on top of itself and just started the decomposition process. So this too will eventually break down, the vermiculite being a little different. It will eventually get smaller and smaller, but it will take quite a long time. And in our lifetime, you might see some deterioration. It's not the same kind of a product that the soil or even the sphagnum moss peat moss is. Certainly not the sphagnum moss that we've taken out of its environment, where it too could have slowly become sphagnum moss peat moss, right? Those are 2 terms that get bandied about a little bit. That's why I kind of put these quotation marks around them. There's a lot of different mosses that can be classified as sphagnum moss. The sphagnum moss that is the peat moss, there's probably multiple types of peat moss out there. This is the type that I could find for sale. Again, that's centuries worth of material that's supposed to be in the environment supporting life. So I want to use as little of the meld mix as possible. So I will be using it for things like we were talking about earlier, Tammy, pots, or like with the rose bush that we just replanted, that's going to stay there. And having that water retention around it is a really good test subject, as well as something that I want to have that healthy ability to keep growing in that space for the foreseeable future, not a 1-year garden project that I'm going to then mix back into the soil and add more to the next year as his original plan when he was amending the soils, right? So it's all a work in progress. However, the meld mix has really been tried and true. I would like to see it become a renewable variation, or at least offer a renewable variation for like what I'm going to do here, using it for my pots as the original meld mix, then transitioning to the sustainable variation when you're doing things in your garden area, or especially if you're doing something like I am, where you want to work with the actual soil that's there, and you're going to kind of see that mixing in with each other over time as you grow your plants, and the bugs are mixing it in and the roots are growing through it and kind of causing it to do all these beautiful, wonderful things that soil do, right? All right. Vermiculite was very fine. Be very careful if you do it outside. It will just blow away. It didn't have any structure to it. It fell right through the bottom of the pot. I had to plug the pot and walk over to where I was using it because it was so fine it just went right through. So then we put it in with our rosebush that I've had for, gosh, over 2 years, I think. It's finally in the ground. It's here. It's looking great. The roots looked great. The color looks great. It's already coming back to full life. And then we added mulching on top of this amazing bed that we made for it right here with the melt mix, so that we can see how it does going forward, see if it works for rose bushes as well. Rose bushes are a little bit specific. They like a more, I believe it's acidic environment than the majority of our plants. So I want to see how a rose bush does with the melt mix, right? Tons of fun. And then, all right, so what other things did we talk about, Miss Tammy? The county extension and some things like that. We covered that in a class that we have posted here as
We were
well.
talking about trees earlier today. You know, about
Mhm.
these lovely trees that are like they're not my trees, obviously, like kind of like your situation. They're
Trees
the
actually that I
counties.
have to deal with are my trees, so unfortunately, if they cause damage, I'll
Yeah,
be liable for it. But
yeah,
you have some trees that aren't your property that you have to deal with. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, like these like cactuses things. Like it's like on my side of my you've seen my stuff, but
Mhm.
like they're not my stuff. I didn't plant them.
Oh,
You
okay,
know,
so they're volunteer, but they're on your property.
yeah, well, I don't even know if that hill's my property. You know, as I said, I gotta take a land survey. Like, okay, I see erosion
This
and that
mix is
causes
not
stuff.
something I would recommend for cacti. Cacti take more like the soil that you have,
Oh man,
right?
this is
So
ridiculous.
if
Like,
you don't want those and they're on your property, then, we can talk about
well,
dealing
they're
with that
like even
on our property.
growing outside the neighbor's like fence, like these plants and that causes a lot of like landslides. You know what I'm saying?
So
Dirt.
definitely, yes, I would talk to your county extension. So
Yeah,
let's
'cause
just walk through that again. Miss Tammy and I talked about it earlier, but let's just go
I'm
and look up
going through a
to,
traumatic situation with these lovely plants of
oh
mine.
no, right? And
My
so,
goodness.
there we go. That's our search that we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
So you
it
have,
is crazy, you guys. These plants are not my plants, but if they are my plants, I'd love to take care of them. But
or they
they're
might be an invasive species.
yeah,
If
for
they're
sure.
coming in so volunteer in such profusion, there's a decent chance that they're invasive. So that's again why you want to talk to your county extension
Yeah,
office,
you
right?
have this like
So
cactus that can't even like go in the ground. It's in the ground, right, Sabrina? But like, okay, the sand, the storms, and then obviously the roots come up, you know? And they're like, oh,
Oh,
like,
so it's blowing over?
oh, girl, like these plants have like their legs, like it feels like Armageddon or something, like 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 oh man, like what's that one show with the aliens?
I
Like
don't know, but let's get
yeah,
back to
that's
what
what
we're
it
talking
feels
about though, babe.
like that right
Okay,
there.
so
It feels
here
like a
is
radish.
your San Bernardino County Extension Office. So I'm not sure what you were speaking of earlier that you didn't have, but you do have a San Bernardino County Extension Office. You don't have to go all the way to San Diego, and they're going to know about your soil structures. They're going to know about the plants. They're going to know about how to help you if you want to keep these plants if they're not invasive. They're going to be able to help you get rid of them if they are invasive. That is what your county extension office is absolutely there for. So you want to go ahead and just do your thing and email them, or if you stop doing that and you started calling, I don't know, it's been a long
Yeah,
time since
these are
we've had.
not vegetables or anything. They're like plants that like they put there like
It doesn't
y-
matter. It's
okay.
the county
Because that's
extension
just
office
got
is there for
yeah, it's
you
got
to
to be
help you with those
removed.
kinds of problems,
It's got to
right?
be removed because like it's literally impacting the land the mountain that I live on, So there's like
Yeah,
5
so
of them.
that's probably invasive. So definitely
Yeah.
get a hold of your county extension office. I don't know. I've grown up in deserts all my life, but I'm not as drawn to cacti, so I don't know as much about it. But we can definitely do some research, and I'll be ready for a Q&A that will get started up after this class, okay? I'll get it planned. All right, because I do want to have that interaction. In fact, that's one of my biggest reasons for wanting to have this community is to have that interaction. However, this class, we have things that we are talking about. So let's get a Q&A class out there, and then we can take the time to dive into doing all of those things. I'm so glad that Ethel had recommendations and Anita had recommendations. That's just great. But we could put together a document for you and do all these wonderful things like we do in a Q&A session. All right. And so now, when we're here on the property, we have so much soil to move. I put out a few pieces about the different amounts of soil that are out there. I think this is a little bit here. Cute little video. We talked about that last week. So I may have put out some more somewhere. Let's just jump into my photos though, where I know they are. All right, so I put together a couple of videos that show,
Oh, oh,
okay,
Sabrina,
I
you
got
look
a little,
good.
Tammy got
You
me
look
a little off track.
yeah,
Let's actually
you look good
jump
on your
into my
photos.
videos. I
Look at her.
apologize.
Look at her on the dirt. She's like, "Hey, I'm a gangster." You look really good on that one photo up there.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, like
Okay, so let's pull
you're
this one
owning
up
your
here.
stuff. That's cool.
And this is the little video of what it was like right at the very beginning of the wood chip pile. Pretty big. It was a lot of wood chips that needed to get moved, I promise you. And so that's just to give you an idea of how big it was. Now, this is where we're at today. So exciting, everyone. Look how little it is. I could practically push it over with my foot at this point. So exciting. As you see, my dog, she's wildly excited. Loves to get into the pictures. So we just have a little bit left. I actually contacted the wood delivery service that provided all of these beautiful wood chips for us, and they're going to see if they have some others that they can bring and drop off for us. No charge. They just bring them, drop them here on the property. They don't have to deal with them anymore. And I have all of this beautiful mulch that I can take and cover these gigantic stretches of dirt, which I don't have any great, oh, yep, here we go. This is just an idea. This actually continues on a little bit further, and it is probably up to about here on me, and I'm 5'7" on a good day. So, 4.5, 4 and 9 inches tall, probably close to the same at the base, at least 2.5 tons worth of dirt that we've got to move around from digging out the Wally Peony. So that's going to be pretty intense. All right. Now, I think I've covered everything that we're doing, and we can go and answer some of your questions before we shut down. We do have 14 more minutes. So let's create a little block for you on the questions that you've already asked. So we have the suggestion from Miss Ethel of rosemary. Nita was a bowl of vinegar in the problem area. Then you also have citronella. Those are all things that we've talked about tonight. Let's go ahead and throw your county extension office on there. Make it a little clearer. Great. Then I don't think that there was anything else that we talked about as far as suggestions for your questions. Does that cover everything that we talked about so far, Tammy?
I'm sure I have a lot more other questions, but right
No,
now,
but just for the answers that you've
yeah,
already been provided so that we have that there,
yeah, the ones
right?
we were talking about earlier. Yeah, pretty
Okay,
much. I gotta
great.
reach out to my local cooperative extension, probably.
And then let me share with you also the square foot foundation, right? squarefootgardening.org. And then you can check out all of the different wonderful things that you can do. They have such beautiful pictures that showcase. See, this is
Thank you.
absolutely, it's really neat, Tammy, and it really can open up your world with the ease of working with the soil and bringing it into your immediate sphere. I think you're just going to be so amazed. And I really think that we can find some resources for you to help you implement it. We just need to talk about that part of it as well when we're ready to dig into that whole area for you. Okay? All right. Beautiful, beautiful thing that Mel Bartholomew put together. And I'm just hoping that we can find a way that will at least offer the opportunity for a sustainable variation, right? It's still taking resources from other places. So I haven't found a replacement yet for that. I want to look into alternatives for sphagnum moss as well. So I really like it. One, it's really hard to work with in every kind of purchase that I bought, every purchase that I've made, as well as with as slow as the process is for growing this stuff. I don't know that I want to call this a completely renewable resource either. I will do some additional research, but I hope that we can find an alternative for it. However, at least it is something that people are growing, I think, as a farming method rather than just going out and taking it. Again, I want to look into it. That was my impression from when I was researching an alternative that was called sustainable to the peat moss. However, as I'm experiencing it more, I'm going to question that so-called sustainable termination, or how would you call it, determination, right? I don't think that it's really sustainable. So we'll continue to explore, put the other link up there so that you can go either way. And I forgot to do that for the San Bernardino, so let's put that there. Okay. Perfect gardening. Anybody have any other questions? I know Miss Tammy probably has a million. Let's see if there are any others in the chat. I don't think so. Anybody that has any other questions? Tammy, do you have any others that are right on the tip of your tongue that you'd like to shout out at us?
Not yet. Not yet, Sabrina.
Or at least share
I
that
gotta
square
work
foot
with what I
gardening part.
have. I
Yeah.
gotta work what I have, you know, because that's a lot, you know.
I'll clean this up and make it a little bit more
You're good,
useful,
girl.
but I just wanted to get it out there so that we
Yeah, I just
didn't
gotta
forget.
start somewhere, you know. I
Mhm.
gotta like understand, like, hey, this is not my stuff. I'm not sure, like, what am I supposed to do? You guys don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, like, even if it is your property and you're trying to fix it, like, there's resources out there.
There are. And there are a lot of free resources. So don't think you have to spend a tremendous amount. That's a big part of what I really like about being able to do this process with everyone. When you see all these YouTube videos, and I love the people that are putting them out, Callie Kim from California and my gardener from Michigan. Even now, my buddy down in West Texas, greening the West Texas desert, they have gotten so much further along in their process. And the only one that I know of that showed the struggles that they had while they were beginning is my buddy down in the West Texas desert. And I want people to see that you have to start from somewhere. It doesn't begin with this immaculate thing that you've built. Um, Perhaps if you go far enough back in their content, they'll have it. I want people to be able to access it all the time, to see that you have to go from a beginning point to get to this polished, pleasant, conversation starting, party appropriate, have a little garden party appropriate type of an area. That takes work, and that work costs money. So I want to showcase how it looks from the rough out beginning through the process of attaining the more usable or user friendly garden that it will become, and also how to do that with as little expenditure as possible, because it is very it's a very large money investment, right? So it's something that we want to think about and try to save money and get things for free. Find things like the very affordable windows for our Wally Peony. That will be the upper part of the structure. They'll have a wall of maybe 2 or 3 feet, and then it'll go into an A-frame roof. And we're going to get windows, reclaimed windows. Finally lost my search, of course, right? There's an amazing selection out there. Now this, of course, it's this pretty um, framed in nice piece. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for this $4 piece or $5. I don't know. I think that might be a little misleading. There were some better options that were up here previously. So that's when you just start keeping an eye on it and going in and looking for all of the ways that you can save money. So I'm a little daunted today to see the different kinds of results that I had previously. Let me see if I can go back to where it was. Nope, it is not going to. So that's where we are for reclaimed windows as of today. Move forward to when we're actually ready for them, and hopefully there will be a lot more options, possibilities out there, a lot more affordable possibilities out there is what I was trying to say. You see these, they have this $5 and $3, and I just don't know. That looks like something that should cost more than $3. So the ones that they had up before were much more reclaimed. I'm going to have to run a search. What I had actually done was look on Google open-ended, and that's where it pointed me. See, there's my search. All right. So they have this demolition and salvage near me. Now that looks really promising. I didn't notice that before. Here we go. This is the search that I had pulled up. And that's more what I'm looking for. All right. So we don't want to give up. We know they're out there. We just have to keep looking. $20, still not a super duper expense. There's different options here. Some very kind of beat up pieces. And that's where I want to go with the Wally Peony's walls and roofing structure above ground. Are these reclaimed windows put into some really nice, solid side holding type mounts. I haven't worked that out completely. I need to see what pieces we come across and talk to my husband and perhaps my father and maybe a few other people that we know in our physical community from my husband's friends and work colleagues that have a lot of this great knowledge base to build on, right? That's what I talked to you guys about too, looking at that external physical community as well as your online community to see where you might be able to find answers for some of your questions. And then also when you have those experts that are out there for free, such as your county extension offices, so that you can talk to them about the structures that you're going to build into your soil or on top of your soil or add on to your property. All of those people, they also help you to make sure that you're following the rules, regulations, and guidelines for your area. All of this great information is out there for us to keep us moving forward safely, efficiently, in a fun manner, in a cost efficient manner as well, right? All right, everyone. Let's take a quick peek and decide when another good day would be for another class. How about Fridays? Does Friday sound good to anybody out there? Bad, good, anything you guys have about another class? We'll pop that one into Collectively Rewilding's homepage.
As long as it's after sorry, as long as it's after like 5 or 6, girl. Because I have my
It will have to
master.
be after 5 or 6, right?
Yeah.
Because we have something through till 8:30, and then prior to that, it's from 5 to 6. So we
I'm
could
almost
put it
done with
in at like 6
my
to.
master food preserving program. So I have
Okay, let's check to
like
see.
a few weeks, like 3 or 4 weeks. So after that, then I'm good. But right now, like I can only do evenings. Like this time is good for me.
Okay. Let me check ahead in Fridays here really quickly. Yes, we could do one from 5:15 your time to 6:15 your time. Is that too late or too early?
From 2 to 4. That's when my class starts.
No, from 5:15 your time to 6:15 would be
Yeah.
6:15.
No, it's fine. Like I said, my class starts from 2 to it's like a couple hours, so 2 to 4, and then
And
after
let's do
that,
that.
yeah.
It'll be 5:15 then Pacific, 6:15 Mountain, 7:15 Central, and 8:15 Eastern. Let me just write that down over here so I don't forget. And I'll have that all set up for you all that are available to join us this coming Friday. Very exciting. Thank you, Miss Tammy, for the suggestion.
Oh,
Or
no problem. I'm just here for
the idea generation or something there, right?
I'm just here for support and you know, trying to do whatever you guys are doing, just like Sabrina is. I just have
Well,
a lot of
hopefully this will be something you've been gardening since before you knew me. And
Oh yeah,
hopefully
I've been
this makes
gardening for a
your
long
garden.
time, you guys. It's difficult when my disability it gets me weaker. So like I'm still
That's
doing
why we're going to find something that puts it
yeah.
right in your reach, that the soil will be like running your fingers through. It's called
Yeah.
friable. And
I just
that's
have
what,
my husband like, man, just take me outside and let me get in the ground, and then he does that and I'm very blessed and so I get that experience, you guys. So yeah, you
well, and
guys
we're
just
blessed with all the information and excitement and energy that you share with us here in both of the communities that we exist
Yeah,
in,
I
collectively
have so much more
rewilding. And
excitement. Like my stallion is like out there thriving. 7 years, you guys. It's my anniversary coming up, you guys. So
oh, happy
that
anniversary!
yeah, on the 27th, and my husband's birthday, and yeah. So
Oh,
yeah,
really? It's his birthday and your anniversary?
yeah,
Well, that's
yeah,
kind of fun. That's kind
yeah.
of
We got
fun.
married on his birthday, and yeah. Well,
Very
it was
cool.
either my dad's or his, because my dad, obviously means a lot to me, or it was
And so
that guy.
they had the same birthday. Your
No,
dad.
my dad's is on the 6th of April.
Okay. Okay. So
So
right there
April,
though.
April's my month where like I just like I'm like everything just blooms, you know.
Absolutely, my lady. All right, everybody. So it sounds like we'll be back with you this coming Friday, 5:15 Pacific, 6:15 Mountain, 7:15 Central, and 8:15 Eastern. Hope to see you all there. Please feel free to unmute your mic and say goodnight, everybody.
Good
Good
night, everybody.
night.
Bye
Good
bye.
night, Ethel. I'll see you guys
Good
in a
night.
like hot minute, like 5 or 6 minutes or something. All
Right,
right,
one to
guys.
the other.
Thank you for
See you
joining
guys
this
soon.
class, you
Bye, guys.
guys.